Welcome back everyone. So today we got in with us this Toyota Yaris 1.3. This car got dropped off to us in the morning and we went for a short test drive, and what I can hear is a lot of rumbling noise coming from the back, rear right hand side to be exact, and I suspect it's got a very bad wheel bearing. So I have got the wheel bearing on order, it's on its way, should be delivered here shortly. So in this video we're going to get into it, take the rear right wheel bearing out, see what's going on with it. Now this car has rear drums, so when we go to take them off we don't know what we might run into. We might have shoes that are bad, wheel cylinders that are leaking, all kinds of issues. Also it's rusty underneath this car, so hopefully I want the backing plates to be okay, otherwise we'll have to get them as well, because that's where the handbrake shoes mount to. And to take this old wheel bearing out, I do think we'll have to hit it with a hammer, might even have to get a puller on it. So let's get into it, let's get this jacked up, take the wheel off, and I'll show you what this car's doing. Let's go. Okay, so I've got the car jacked up, got an extra stand there as well. I've got my mic just on the brake hose. I'm going to spin this brake drum and let's see if we can hear the rumbling noise coming from the wheel bearing. I am working outside, it is very windy, so this might not be good, you might not be able to hear it, but I want to try and get the noise across on the video, so let's give it a go. So that noise that you heard while I was spinning it, that's the noise we're hearing through the cabin when we're driving, and it's quite loud. So now we got to get this brake drum off and see what's going on behind it, see if we need anything else. The wheel bearings arrived, but that's as far as parts go, that's all I have. So if it needs anything else, then I'm not going to remove anything just yet, because I need to see if the parts are available to get for today, and then if they are, I can get them on order and we can get this swapped out. Also, you can see how rusty the brake drums are. Let's see what's going on the inside, and then we can make a decision what needs to happen, so we can go from there. So let's get going, let's try and get this off. Okay, so drums off, and this is what we got inside. So I can't see anything broken on the handbrake shoes, all the springs are good. It's just a wheel bearing which is very rough. So it's got bolts, so if you look through there, bolt there, and you've got 4 of them like that, which we can get to with extension bars and sockets, and then we can unbolt it this way. I'm not expecting this to just fall out. We might have to get a puller on this, or we might have to just keep hammering it until it comes off. Now the backing plate and the handbrake shoes are also held on by these 4 bolts, so we have to be careful, because we got the metal brake pipe which attaches to the back of the wheel cylinder. So if you're hitting it with a hammer or even pulling it with a puller, you want to make sure that this doesn't get damaged. So if you're doing this yourself, keep a close eye on that and just take your time. Now with handbrake shoes, when you got them apart, even if you're not changing them, it's always a good idea to check if this is leaking. Way to do that is if you peel back the cover and there's brake fluid there. This one, as you can see, is bone dry, so it's okay, but if there is brake fluid there, then it's a telltale sign that it's leaking, and then you need to change this. So these one are okay. I'm going to give them a clean, sand them up. The handbrake shoes don't look too bad, and as I stated before, this customer just wants the wheel bearing done. I'm glad that we got it off, because when I took the wheel off and I saw that drum, I thought to myself, like, there's no way this is coming off without a fight, but it wasn't actually quite bad. Tip is, when this is on here, put WD-40 around there, try and clean it up as much as you can, and then these 2 holes here, I should have recorded this but forgot to, so these are where the studs will come through. These 2 holes here, you can get a bolt through there. So if you imagine this is on here, and these bolts will come through and press against this. So on some cars you got like cutouts where you can slacken off the adjuster and you can take the drum off, but on some cars like this one for example, you don't have that. There's nothing on the back, and when obviously the studs are coming through here, you can't access anything from there. So you can get like a 13mm bolt, put one here, put one there, and then if you just evenly tighten it, you should see the brake drum evenly pull out. And then if you keep hitting it with a hammer a few times all around, then you get a lot of dust like this fall off, but it should come off. It sounds very easy when I explain it like this, but it probably won't be. It will probably be a big fight to get them off, but I got lucky with these ones. So I'm going to get all this cleaned up. As you can see, there's just loads and loads of brake dust on here. So we're going to get all of this cleaned up, and then let's get this wheel bearing out. So let's go. Okay, so I've got the bolts off. Got lucky with them. So these are 14mm bolts. Does appear that they have a little bit of Loctite on them, but this one here at the top goes right there, right in there. Was a bit difficult. As you can see, it's got a lot of rust on it, so the end of this bolt will stick out from the back, so it picks up all the dirt and mud and everything that's thrown at it. So this one was a little bit of a problem. If they are tight, what I would say is keep loosening them, tightening them, loosening them, tightening them, and just keep spraying anything to lubricate it. So I just kept on spraying WD-40, got them all off. So there's 4 of them. I've got 3 off. I've got 1 which is still in there. I'm going to leave that one on there, and what I'm going to try and do now is I'm going to try and hammer this, try and get it to loosen up, and then I can take this off. Also, another reason why I'm leaving this on there is if all of this decides to come apart, the bolt will keep it in its place, and it's not going to put a lot of strain on this metal pipe. Also have the handbrake cable coming in to the back, attaching to one of these shoes, which is obviously going to help stop it from falling off as well, so it should be fine hopefully. Before I get started, I'm going to spray a lot of WD-40 back there just to help it along, and then go from there. Now the brake shoes, I have cleaned them. I'm going to clean them again once I get this off. I can get into the back of it, sand it all up and clean it again. I'm not sure, but it looks like someone's been here and changed this at some point. So we never had any issues with the handbrakes or anything like that. So I'm going to keep taking this off, and let's have a look and see what we want to do with this. I'll speak to the customer as well, and then we can take it from there. So again, quick little tip: if they're hard to take off, just keep loosening, tightening, take your time, and then go from there. So let's get this wheel bearing off and see what's behind it. Let's go. Okay, so finally got this wheel bearing off, and what a mission that was. So as I said before, this was quite badly rusted. Let me get this light up. So don't know how well we can see in there, but look at the rust sitting in there. It's quite bad. Let's clean all that up before I put this back. Anyway, this is the old wheel bearing. Got it off. This doesn't, look, when I try to move it, it gets stuck. That noise it's making, it should not be like that. It should be nice and smooth, no noises. So took the bolts off and tried to lubricate all of this and hammer it off. Didn't have no luck. So what I ended up doing was I disconnected the handbrake shoes on this side. That way, when this is in place, we've got a lot more space here, which I can hit it harder with the hammer, which I couldn't do before because the shoes were there. And then I realized once I removed the handbrake shoes that everything's falling over here. One second. The pins, that I can't put that back like that. That's just waiting to snap off. So this is the pin that comes through here and holds the handbrake shoe in position. So this part is not bad, but this is just, you can see how thin that is. So I don't really want to put all of this back, go through all of this trouble and put this guy back. So I've ordered a new pin and fitting kit to come. So as soon as that comes, we can get all this back together. In the meantime, I'm going to clean all of this, get all this rust out of here, and we'll try and sand all of these up where the shoes sit, and we'll get the new wheel bearing all bolted on, torqued up, and then as soon as that comes, fit this side, we can whack the drum back on, and then let's take this for a drive. Hopefully no horrible noises. So yeah, I think I jinxed myself earlier by saying I got lucky with it, because getting this off was just an absolute nightmare. But anyway, we can move forward. So let's get all of this cleaned up, get the new one put on. Let's go. Okay, so just to show the difference, I've got the old wheel bearing next to the new one. So this is how it should be. Nice and smooth, effortless, just turning, no issues. Shouldn't be like that, where it's getting stuck and putting up all that fight. So glad that's out. Also, took all of these rust pieces out from in there, cleaned it as much as I can, sanded all of this. I'm going to grease all of this as well where it goes back, so then it's not going to be so much of a problem next time. Well, for this car, probably not going to be a next time. Also, I've sanded all of this. I'm going to sand it a bit more. I'm still waiting on the fitting kit to come, and then we can get it back. So until then, let's get this guy on, get it all torqued up, and go from there. Also going to put a bit of grease around here, so it finds its way in easier. We don't have to fight it. So yeah, let's go. Show you the next bit. Okay, so new wheel bearings on. I've torqued them up 75 foot-pounds. Look at that, nice and smooth. Also changed the clips and the pins both sides. This is this side, a lot better than that side, which I'll get now and hold them up together. You can see these two, you can see how much thinner the top one is. And I'll just get a pin out from the new set. This is what they're supposed to look like. So this is where I wanted to change it. You can see how thin the old one is. It's just waiting to snap off. So now only clips, pins, your wheel bearing, handbrake shoes are all back as well. I've sanded and greased up as much as I can where the shoes sit on the backing plate. Didn't mess with the adjuster when I'm removing this. I just removed the lower spring first, then the top one, and just took the adjuster out as it is. So it should go back how it was. Like I said before, we never had any issues with the handbrakes. So this should all go back together now. So I did also, when the extra mile, put some thread locker on to the 4 bolts. Not a great amount, just a little bit, because when I took them off it looked like it had it, but it had all obviously just gone off. So cleaned them and put them back on. Some wheel bearing kits will send you the 4 bolts. This one that I got, they said that it might have it, but then when they checked it didn't have it. So, and this was the only one available to me today to get this car wrapped up and back to the customer. So we had to reuse the old bolts. Nothing wrong with that. We just cleaned them, put some thread locker, and then torqued them up to 75 foot-pounds. So if you are doing this yourself, please make sure you have a torque wrench handy close by, and make sure you torque them up, because if these 4 bolts come off, so does your tyre, because the tyre will be attached, obviously bolted onto these studs here. So it is very important that these are tightened properly, and putting the Loctite or thread lock or whatever you call it on it helps also. So now this is all good to go. No more annoying noises, no more fighting just to turn this, like I showed you before. So let's get the brake drums on, get this all buttoned up, and take it for a test drive. So let's go. Okay, so brake drums on, all okay. Now, something I want to point out, which I forgot earlier, so I do apologize. There's a sensor back here, so there's a cover, and when you get a pick tool, you can basically pry that up and pry it up there, and this cover comes off, and then the actual plug for the sensor, which plugs back to the back of the wheel bearing, is behind this cover. So make sure you take that off and tuck it out of the way. I would put it behind the shock there, and that way, when you're hitting this with a hammer or you got a puller on it, it's not going to get damaged. And also, obviously, make sure plug it back in, otherwise you're going to get warning lights coming up. So this is all done now. I'm going to get the wheel back on. Now, the drum, quite a lot of corrosion on it on the outside. When I saw this and the car first came in, like I said on the video at the beginning, I wasn't sure what we were going to find behind this, but once we took it off, the handbrake shoes actually weren't that bad. It actually looks like someone's changed them at one point. Wheel cylinders, all okay. I was expecting them to be full of brake fluid and for them to be leaking, but again, both sides was bone dry, so happy to say that we didn't need anything on there. Wish we could have changed the drums, but on the inside of this drum, I inspected it, it's actually okay. Doesn't even have a lip. It's just all this corrosion on the outside. So at the moment, we're just fixing the wheel bearing issue. So this is going back on. This car, I believe, is going to be traded in pretty soon, because the customer wants to buy something else. So today we're just getting this wheel bearing noise knocked out and done, so the car's safe, it can be back on the road, and then whoever owns it next is safe for them to drive also. So now I'm gonna get this buttoned up, get everything packed away, and then let's go for a test drive. Okay, that's the Yaris all wrapped up. Take it for a little test drive. All okay, rumbling noises all gone, car's driving as it should. So this one's all done, ready to get back to the customer. So as I said before, this is not a long video, just a quick video with some tips. If you are doing this yourself, you have one of these cars and you're attempting to replace the wheel bearing, buy yourself a good puller, have a club hammer and a lot of WD-40 penetrating fluids, and just be patient. It will come off, and just be mindful of the bolts and all the rust and stuff that you may encounter. And if possible, buy the shoes and the drums as well, obviously once inspected, so then at the same time you can change them also. So we hope this video helped, and thank you for everyone who's been subscribing to our channel. I've been noticing we've been getting a little bit of subscribers. We've still got a long way to go, but I'm sure we'll get there. If you are someone new watching this video and you like seeing this sort of content, please hit that subscribe button and show us some love. Give us a follow. It will help this channel grow, and we'll see you on the next one.